I'm about to go take the trash out. I want to share with you my experience living in California. If you're new to my channel, well, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you've been tuned in, then you already know the vibe. Thanks for being a part of the tribe. There's gonna be a little bit of an echo, but listen, moving from the East Coast to the West Coast, I know a lot of people dream about it, they wonder about it, they think about it. Maybe you're wondering about moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. Maybe you're thinking about moving from anywhere to the West Coast. Comment below where you're from. I'm specifically from New York, born and raised in New York. I come from a small city. You know what I'm saying? We lived in affordable housing. It wasn't like a Section 8 thing, but it was cool. So right now, living in Orange County, Southern California has been a blessing. I never really pictured myself living here. I didn't really even know about it. Like, I heard about California. Trash room. I'll give you a tour of my apartment here. But yeah, like, you don't really, like, when you're from a certain city, you don't really, obviously, unless you travel a lot, you don't really know much about any other places, right? So upstate New York was my comfort zone. So having drove across the country, living in Southern California now for the past 5 years, in Southern California has been amazing. I'll tell you some things about it. Pertaining to like the rent, what you can expect, the cost of living, the weather, the people, the food. I'll talk to you about all that right now. These floors I actually recently did, buddy. Pretty recently, like a year or so ago. Newer floors. So anyways, I'm in Irvine. This is the city of Irvine. It's Orange County, California, Southern California. My first year living in California was in Northern California. So I was living in a place called Walnut Creek. It's called Walnut Creek. It's a city called Walnut Creek. And Walnut Creek, it's a beautiful city, considered, one of the wealthier, I suppose, like one of the more nicer, affluent cities up in the Bay Area. So it's like across the Bay Bridge, from San Francisco, and you got like places like Pleasanton and Dublin and Alamo and Dansville, and I'm trying to remember all the different places. But it was cool. It was a nice place. The rent over there at the time, so this is about 6 years ago, the rent was, I had a two bedroom apartment in Walnut Creek, California. This is 5 years ago. The rent was, we were paying about $3,000. I think the rent had a three, like 3,040 or something random like that. Lived there for about a year. Then moved down here to Southern California. And the unit, I'll take you to the unit, it's upstairs in just a moment. The unit here, it's a one bedroom, it's a one bathroom in Irvine. Is about 732 square feet. And when I first moved in, by the way, it was my first apartment that I ever got, like by myself. So, I've been through a lot. My life has been a grind from the bottom to the top, you know what I'm saying? So the apartment that's upstairs, I can show you here, was my first apartment. Like, it was the first apartment that I ever got as, as a man, right? Or as an adult. So I'm pretty cool and proud about that. It's been pretty cool, and I'm proud about that, but, I contemplate moving, and leveling up or switching sometimes. The weather in California is really nice. Southern California is warmer than Northern California. I would say, especially during the winter time, you're not gonna get really much lower than 50 or 60 here in Southern California. Highs will be like 70, 80 sometimes. Summertime, you're gonna hit like 80, 90s, maybe 100. Whereas in Northern California, and I'm gonna make this video just about Southern California primarily. Northern California is a little bit cooler year round, a little bit colder, a little bit more overcast and cloudy, kind of like today, as you can see. But anyways, this apartment's pretty cool. I love it here. So everything about this place is amazing. It's been a blessing living here, right? If you're not from like luxury, like I'm not, all this stuff is a blessing to you, right? Like fountains and having all this resort style living. You got like couches and fireplace and grills, and there's a pool. The gym's over there. This specific establishment I live at has 3 buildings. So there's 3 buildings. I've lived in 2 of the 3. So I lived in one of the buildings for 1 year, and then another building for 4 years, and then again over in California for a year. So that's 6 years total in California. So if you just think about it like that, yeah, it's pretty much just it's pretty much just like what you hear about, you know. And so I can show you the pool. Hold on, I'll show you the pool. Take a quick view. I'm not gonna actually go in there. I was thinking about my battery's gonna die soon. But anyways, the weather's really nice. You know, luxury stuff is cool. Pool amenities, gym, jacuzzi, all that stuff is like an office room and stuff like that. The people in California are pretty nice. A lot of people just keep to themselves. A lot of people are not really like very direct. A lot of people are kind of, that seems very loud out there with the traffic. But some people are just very keeping to themselves. Like you can't really be very assertive towards people. People don't really want you to be like up in their face too much or like bothering them if you don't know them. A lot of people are pretty much, you know, progressive, and they're smart, and they're, you know, on the cutting edge, and they're intuitive. But you know, that's just where I live specifically, on the coast in Orange County here. A lot of prosperity and stuff, a lot of abundance, a lot of nice cars, lots of nice buildings, lots of nice architecture, a lot of new stuff. If you start to go more inland, towards the Inland Empire, stuff like that, it's a little bit more drier, a little bit more desert, maybe not as fancy. It'll be more affordable though. My rent here today, as I speak, is right around $2,900. It's 1 bed, 1 bath, 732 square feet. About 5 years ago, it started off right around 24, so it's gone up about $500 or so in the past 4 years. But yeah, I mean, California is really good. It's a good place to live. The weather's really good year round. People are pretty good. The food is really good. There's tons of different options as far as like what to eat, like global options, so you won't have any issues with that. Everything's in really close proximity, so everything's really close as far as like, you know, if you need to hop on some form of public transportation, take an Uber or Lyft. There is public transportation, there's buses, there's stuff like that. You use a bike, you can walk, you can drive. Roads are very navigable. And yeah, I mean, living in California has been really good, man. You know, the pros definitely, I would say, outweigh the cons. It is going to be a little bit more, you know, as far as the cost of living. Things cost more, food kind of costs more, gas costs more. And that's just kind of what it is, you know what I mean? Parking, traffic is pretty heavy. You know, it's very competitive, stuff like that. But it can be very motivating. It's really beautiful, and it's very inspiring, and there's a lot of success and a lot of people who are winning out here. So that can definitely rub off on you. You know, it's definitely a place where, you know, it can be very tricky. I'm not going to talk political, but you know, it's a very interesting place to be as far as, you know, free thinkers and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, bro, like I've been loving living in California. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you don't get the snow unless you want to go to the mountains, which is cool. You can go to the beach and the mountains all on the same day, which is crazy. You can pretty much get like the best of all the types of weather, which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, there's really no cons, except the biggest cons I'd say, literally, honestly, are just the price and the traffic, maybe. That's pretty much it. The cost of the houses, or specifically like the cost of actually living. Like, if you want to try to buy a house, you're gonna need to save up a lot of money and have a significant job and income. Even renting apartments, again, you know, it's like everything out here is pretty much double. So like, California is kind of like double the national average. So just to keep that in mind if you're thinking about coming here, or at least what I've experienced and what I've researched. You know, if you're not with your family, you know, and it's just you or you and a loved one or somebody, You know, you're gonna have to make it happen out here. But trust me, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of ways to make it happen. And so I would say just, if you're thinking about moving to California, do it. And like me, like my mindset was I can always, move back or go somewhere else. So my lease here ends